Roth IRA versus taxable. Which account is better for early retirement? Everyone has access to a taxable brokerage account, and that's a good thing because it might be the best type of investment account available for early retirement. Even better than Roth IRA, you might ask? Well, yes, when it comes to early retirement, I do think that the taxable has the Roth IRA beat. But let's start off with showing a little love for the Roth IRA because it is a great tax advantaged account and I take full advantage of it myself by maxing out my Roth IRA each and every year. With a Roth IRA, contributions are taxed up front, but any growth in the account is never taxed again, even when you withdraw the money way down the road in the future. So with the Roth IRA, you have tax-free growth and tax-free withdrawals, and this alone makes the Roth IRA an awesome tax-advantaged account. Not only that, but Roth IRA contributions can be withdrawn at any time without penalty, without additional tax. Because of this ability to withdraw contributions at any time, I've even argued that the Roth IRA can be used as an emergency fund, especially for those just starting out with investing. But despite its great tax advantages, the Roth IRA is not necessarily the best type of account for early retirement. One reason is the contribution limit. In 2024, you can contribute up to $7,000 of earned income into a Roth IRA. Now this number keeps creeping up year after year, sort of keeping up with inflation, but those contributions may not be high enough to fund an early retirement for too long. There are also income limits to contribute. In 2024, the Roth IRA income limit to make a full contribution is less than $146,000 for single filers and less than $230,000 for those filing jointly. So that's the Roth IRA. Now let's compare that to a taxable account, which might be the best account for early retirement. And the main reason is flexibility. With a taxable account, we're contributing money that's already been taxed. There's no way around it. And in this respect, the taxable account functions just like a Roth IRA would. You can open a taxable account at any brokerage. It's like the default account type, and that means there's also flexibility in what you can invest in. You can invest in any financial instrument you'd like, any platform you'd like to use, a wide range of investment options, including individual stocks, bond funds, mutual funds, ETFs, options, futures, crypto, REITs, whatever you can think of, you can probably invest in that in a taxable account. And if you don't like what one brokerage is offering, well, it's fairly easy to take your money, your assets, and move them over to a different brokerage and set up a taxable account over there. There are a wide variety of brokerages to choose from. You might like the user experience, the customer support, or the investment choices at one brokerage more than another. There's also flexibility when it comes to when to use the money in a taxable account, and this is very powerful for early retirement. You don't have to wait for a certain age to access your money. It's yours to access and use whenever you'd like. And you don't have to have the account open for a specific length of time. There are no contribution limits. So if your income allows it and you're really going for it, you're really going for early retirement, you will likely start filling up your tax advantage buckets and that money will start overflowing into taxable accounts. There are no contribution limits, no income limits, no problem at all with a taxable account. Taxable accounts also help fill the gap until you age into being able to use your traditional or Roth retirement accounts. The taxable account acts as the perfect bridge between retiring early and being able to access those retirement accounts, which normally you're not able to access until, 59 and a half or later in some cases. And by reaching for that taxable account first, you can let that Roth IRA continue to grow, which is great to continue to let that grow and compound and have more tax-free money to access when you do reach the age of 59 and a half. On this channel, I do like to talk a lot about tax-advantaged accounts, and with good reason. Accounts like the Roth IRA are great places to save money because they help us pay less taxes, and therefore we can save even more over time, and our invested money can last that much longer. But what about with a taxable account? The taxable account doesn't have any tax advantages at all. Or does it? I would argue that it does. The taxable account actually offers flexibility in taxation as well. First of all, you will pay low or even no taxes on your investments in a taxable account if you are at the right income level. You get to decide how much you're going to be taxed and when you'll be taxed. You decide, because dividends and long-term capital gains in a taxable account are taxed at a lower rate compared to ordinary income. And you might not pay tax on those gains at all depending on your income. You can see that if you stay down in these lower tax brackets, you're going to pay 0% or possibly 15% depending on what your income is. But that's still lower than what you'll pay on ordinary income. And in early retirement, you're going to have control to some extent over how much money, how much income you're realizing. And so you get to control how much you're taxed on those long-term capital gains, or if you're taxed at all. Now, as far as dividends, qualified dividends are taxed at that same lower rate. One thing about dividends in a taxable account, they're going to get paid out whether you want them or not. So this becomes an automated source of income in early retirement. You can, once you retire early, turn off any dividend reinvestment program that you might have running so that those dividends no longer go in to buy more of that investment, but rather they get deposited into the cash account or the money market account in your brokerage account. And then you could transfer that out to your checking account and just spend it. You can automate this whole process, and this kind of becomes your first source of income in early retirement, because those dividends are going to be generated whether you want them or not, so you might as well spend them. Now, in addition to the tax advantages that you get with qualified dividends and long-term capital gains paying that lower rate, well, there are also other things you can do with a taxable account. If you have capital gains or capital losses, there may be opportunities to sell strategically and buy a different asset and capture the gain or the loss. Tax gain harvesting allows you to step up your cost basis, realize your taxable gains at a time that's advantageous to you. This does require some strategic tax planning. You really got to think this through, but you can do tax gain harvesting in years when you have low income so that you realize those gains when you're going to pay the least amount of tax on it, potentially even zero. There's also tax loss harvesting, which is if you have capital losses, you can intentionally realize those losses to offset other gains that you might have now or in the future. Now, another benefit of taxable accounts has to do with estate planning. This doesn't really have to do with early retirement, but it's good to know that with a taxable account, you can pass wealth on to heirs with a stepped up cost basis. Because of the step up in basis, that person may be able to avoid or minimize capital gains taxes themselves if they sell the investment. But overall, the taxable account is great for early retirement because of its flexibility and the availability of funds. Retirement accounts are great, but don't make the mistake of having all your early retirement savings in these accounts. Ideally, you want to have a balance between these different types of accounts. Some taxable, some pre-tax, some post-tax, maybe some HSA. That's going to give you a lot of flexibility once you're in early retirement, allowing you to pull funds from different accounts strategically. But the taxable account is the most flexible of all, and that's why I really like it for early retirement in particular. And unlike retirement accounts such as IRAs and 401ks, which impose penalties for early withdrawals before a certain age, well, funds in taxable brokerage accounts can be accessed at any time without penalties. And this flexibility is crucial for early retirees who need to access their funds before traditional retirement age.